episode 3818, When Your Words Feel Small.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. You know what? You made it. It's Friday. Yay. And that means you get to celebrate a wonderful day because the weekend is just a peekaboo around the corner. Take a deep breath. It's all about raising those kids when your words feel small. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted to have your presence. If you already didn't have the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, Inspiring Connection and Community. So are you ready? Come on. We know parenting, in all honesty, it just sucks sometimes, doesn't it? It's hard to know if what we're saying is sticking. Sometimes we talk in circles and nothing seems to change. You're like, come on, won't you get what I'm saying? But whatever you do, don't give up when your words feel small. Because you know what it's like to talk in circles, right? You know what it's like to play that game, to replay the same conversations over and over again, not only in your head, but out loud. You're like, didn't I just tell you this? And you're like, yeah, I did about 10,000 times ago. And then you wonder if any of it actually lands. Those moments when your words feel small, like they barely ripple the surface, can shake even the most confident parent. It's like, yeah, I know I got this. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't. But that's when it matters most, my friend. When your child needs you, it's not about your mood. It's not about how tired or not tired you are. And it's not about your doubts. It's about showing up consistently, steady, and real. The real thing isn't a perfect speech or the right phrase. It's your presence. It's your commitment and your refusal to give up. Because if you get tangled in your own guilt and emotions, you risk losing the thread of what matters, the through line for your children. What gift are you giving them? Because I'm here to remind you, Mom, this is not the time to adopt the belief that you are not a good parent. Because for the most part, yeah, moms and dads are doing their best. And sometimes that has to be enough. Sometimes you just have to learn to compliment your words. That is your Kiss to Keep It Simple strategy. Compliment your words. And sometimes that means you have to remind yourself and give yourself these extra kisses and kick in the rear. Yes, you got to say, I can do this. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but there's no book on this earth, with the exception of the Bible, in my opinion, that really can lead you to what needs to happen. And even then, hear me out, that's an interpretation. So you have to be careful. Right? I mean, that's where we can go and spiral into a totally different conversation. And so we've got to understand as parents, we have to show up not for ourselves. We have to show up for our kids. This is not about you. You're not listening and learning and living WIIFM, what's in it for me. Because if you are, then we need to have another conversation. This is about your child. What do they need in their stage of life that they're in? And if you get stuck in your head that you're not good enough as a parent or that you're way over the top and you're awesome, either way you look at it, you're going to sink fast on either spectrum, right? You can't sit here and just like say, oh, look at me, because that's a totally different attitude. Instead of wondering what you can't do or what should be done, stick to complimenting your words. And you're probably thinking, okay, how do I compliment my words? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to talk about 3 ways to do it in real life. And you can look at all of this from the aspect of toddlers to adult children, okay? And maybe even if you're a generational parent now. So maybe you're taking care of your parents while still parenting your children, and maybe you have grandbabies or great nieces and nephews. And so now, not only do you have your children, your parents, but you also have even younger ones. And it just kind of draws it all out like, gosh darn it, I'm a generational parent and I don't know what to do. I'm all over the place. Take a deep breath. And I just want you to think about how you can compliment your words when your words feel small. Number one, anchor your message in action. You want to have action here. When kids are little, they may not fully grasp the weight of what you say. They understand, they get the tone, they see your eyes, but sometimes they're like, yeah, no, I don't know. A toddler's world is about feeling safe, seen, and loved. Sometimes more than understanding complex instructions. For example, this mama of 3 who was struggling with bedtime tantrums, she was like, what do I do? Well, she found out that no matter how many times she told her son it was time to sleep, he kept resisting. Do you remember those days? Oh, I remember those days. None of my babies like to sleep. They don't. They didn't, but they do now. I'm like, how fair is that for me? I mean, they'll sleep now for themselves when they're on their own, but when I was their mama at home trying to take care of everything, right? The dinner dishes and dogs and them, you're like, oh, so not nice. But what happens is Maria switched her approach, and instead of talking more, she created a bedtime routine, reading a story, dimming the lights, and playing soft music. The routine spoke louder than words. The message was clear. Bedtime means calm and comfort. Think about your bedtime routine, right? So it's easy for us to look at these examples and look at what we can do to anchor our messages in actions, not just our words, by saying, okay, what would I benefit from? Not as a parent, but as a child, looking at it through a child's lens. What about your teenagers who often tune out the lectures? They're like, yep, heard, talk to the hand, I don't want to talk to you. Or just send me a text. I got it, Mom. No big deal. But it's actions that speak volumes too for them. There's this dad, his name is Steve. He wanted to convey this trust and responsibility to his, well, not so fall in line 16-year-old daughter, right? They're rebellious at that stage. Not all of them, but there are a lot of them. I wasn't a rebellious one, but I will tell you this. I was stubborn and determined, probably more determined than stubborn. And I really did believe that my way was one of the best ways, but I did think through some things. So when I came to a decision, I was like, okay, I got this. I don't know where you fall into that spectrum or where your children do, or maybe your grandbabies do. But if you've got this rebellious child, instead of more stern warnings of saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you got to do this, her dad was like, I'm going to give her space and I'm going to let her make a few mistakes on her own, but I'm going to stay consistently available if she wants to talk. No judgment, just listening. And over time, that consistency of his presence landed where words had failed. And what about your older kids, your adult children? Joanna, whose 25-year-old son struggled with job uncertainties, stopped offering unsolicited advice and simply checked in regularly. She was like, hey, everything okay? Not, are you looking for a job? What about this? Have you tried this? What about this? No. Her simple act of vulnerability, sharing what she knew, the challenges that she had when she was changing from one job to another in her life, invited real conversations. And that changes the dynamic from frustration to connection. Most of the time, what we're doing is we're drawing a line in the sand, and that's great. Sometimes we need to have it in the cement, but in the sand sometimes with kids because it moves all over the place. And when you're doing that, the problem is sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't. And they're like, no, that line, it needs to be over here. Maybe it needs to be over here. Maybe it should be over there. We've got to reach out to our kids and have our actions meet our words. So anchor your message in what you want from them in actions. And then number 2, refocus on the feeling you want to create. When your words feel small, remember the core feeling you want to plant. What do you want to fertilize? Is it safety? Maybe it's understanding, or it could be respect. Maybe it's patience. Kids pick up on how you make them feel, the emotional side of things, more than the exact words you say. So let's look at Sarah. She has an 8-year-old who often would act up at school. And instead of piling on, you need to behave, you need to do better, she stopped and shifted her words and said, I'm here to help you figure this out. Listen to the difference of this, okay? Just listen to these 2 different phrases. Don't think about your child right now. I just want you to think about the phrases. You need to behave. I'm here to help you figure this out. there's a difference. There's a, I'm here for you, instead of, you got to do it this way. It wasn't a clever phrase, right? But it changed the tone. Sarah made her son feel supported, not singled out, and that shifted everything for them. And guess what it also shifted? The relationship between the two of them. That speaks volumes too. And then what about grown children? It's about meeting them emotionally where they are. And sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I thought having young kids were hard. Now I have old kids and they are all over. Yeah, I get it. Been there doing that. Well, David's adult daughter was distant after a tough breakup. And nowadays it is a lot different, isn't it? Where do you meet that significant other? How does it work? What does it look like? Well, Dad stopped trying to fix things through words and instead sent little notes and texts that simply said, thinking of you. Those small gestures made her see that he was present without pressure, which slowly reopened their communication. Sometimes we can get in our children's face way too much, and we want to be in their ears. I'm not saying not to do that, but I am saying doing it in a manner that serves your child well, not in which serves you well. There is a difference. And it's hard because we have to learn that. We have to step back. We have to look at what we're saying, what we're doing. Sometimes we need someone from the outside to say, I'm doing this. What do you think about that? And sometimes, honestly, we don't like the answer that we're given. But those little tweaks, those little nuances that we can say, oh, wait, if I look at changing it and maybe not using this word, or looking at it and saying, okay, I'm not going to have any emojis. I'm not going to use contractions like don't. I'm going to use do not. Or maybe don't is better because it's softer, depending upon who you're speaking to, right? And when you look at this, you've got to figure out, okay, this is what's working. And as soon as you feel like it's not, then go back and tweak some more. There's nothing wrong with that. That's you being an awesome parent, paying attention and listening and watching and learning and growing and stretching, just like you're doing with your child. And then finally, number 3, give yourself permission to be human. This is important, right? But you got to keep showing up. You're going to make mistakes. So cut yourself some slack. When your words feel small, it's tempting to spiral into their thoughts like, dang nabbit, I'm not good enough. I don't know what I was thinking. I wanted kids and maybe I just should have been the one that wasn't allowed to have kids, but I have 5 now. What am I supposed to do? I'm failing as a parent. But here's the thing. No one gets this perfect. Ever. Ever. I'm sitting here talking to you about parenting and I still mess up. I messed up yesterday. It was a big oopsie. In my opinion, it was big oopsie, but I could have changed some things, which shows up in my writing to you all now and the podcast episodes that I bring to you because I'm like, that didn't work. I could have done this better. So in actuality, not only I hope I'm helping you, but it's also helping me with my own children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews and relationships, right? You can take all of this and apply it to your relationships as a whole. So what does it really look like to give yourself permission to be human, yet you got to keep showing up? Well, Lisa, a mom of this 12-year-old, found herself like snapping, just like, you know how you get that just bite and they ask you something and you're like, rawr, all of a sudden, dog to bone immediately. And then obsessing over every misstep. I know, I used to be there a lot. Why? Because I had just so much going on and I never could catch a break. I was like, I just want some downtime. And I did not get it until about 1:30 or 2 o'clock every morning. And then I was back up by 5 or 5:30 every morning. This is when the kiddos were little. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, give me, the empathy and the sympathy award and cry with me. No, that's just the fact of what it was. And so I own that I would snap. And it was always easier to snap at your own children. You love them. Right? So why not snap at the children you love instead of snapping at a stranger? You wouldn't do that. No, I didn't do that. So this mama, she was snapping, obsessing over everything. And she started reminding herself, I'm doing the best I can right now. Instead of saying, I just need to do better. I mean, I feel so bad all the time. You can feel a little bit of bad, but the beating yourself up, not really a good idea. So instead of falling into guilt, what she did was she used that mindset to apologize, to reset, and to keep being consistent. And this way, her son noticed the humility and felt safer by her opening up, by her vulnerability, by her honesty and her humility, saying, you know what, I don't get this right all the time. Single parents are in this position all the time. And yes, you've got it where there's two parents in a home, but if you have a blended family and you're, trying to meld 2 or 3 households together, depending upon all the different baggage and the stuff comes with every relationship, right? There is, because you could remarry, but if your ex remarries, well, then you're bringing in, you guys had a family, but then you broke it off, right? And then now you have another family, but then she had a separate family and then they broke. You see what I mean? It just gets complicated. So give yourself a little bit of grace. Don't beat yourself up, but, and a big but, make sure you own it when you make a mistake. And it doesn't have to be this long drawn out, tears flowing down. I was, just a jerk to you and all this. It's just a simple, Mama screwed up this time. I'm sorry. I'll try better next time. That's it. You don't have to just draw it out. And in this situation too, if you're parenting adult kids, it might mean acknowledging limits, saying, I can't go this far. Greg struggled with his 30-year-old daughter's choices. And, this dad was like, I don't know. And eventually he learned to respect her autonomy without retreating emotionally. Recognizing that sometimes being there means accepting things you can't control is its own powerful message. In other words, you can control only what you can control. And as much as we mamas think, and sometimes daddies think we can control everything, we cannot. Not even our kids. I don't care what age they are, what stage of life they're in, they're going to do what they're going to do. Now, that doesn't mean you can't put guardrails on, right? That's what we're doing here. It's like bowling, right? You got to have those guardrails on so you don't get the gutter balls all the time. Guardrails. That's what we're there for. But there are going to be times that you take those guardrails off because they're going to fall, and that's okay. They have to figure it out sometimes. Because where do we learn the most? When we're in the middle of the storm. That's when we're stretched. So mom, dad, stop beating yourself up for every small word that seems to vanish in thin air. Your best is the real deal. Yes, it's going to be messy. And it's going to be repetitive. And at times you're just going to be like overwhelmed with everything. And this whole overwhelming dance of parenting, you're like, da-da-da-da-da. But what happens in all of it, your consistency, your intention, and your presence are the anchors your children need you to show up for. So be consistent, be intentional, and most importantly, be present. Keep showing up for them. Even when you're tired, keep showing up for them. Even when you're overly energetic, keep showing up when you're over dramatic, right? Whatever it is, show up for your children. But remember, keep them ahead of what you think you need to do to be the best parent. Because remember, it's not about WIIFM, what's in it for me. You got to be imperfectly perfect and imperfectly present with what you're doing as being a mom. The main thing, that real thing, it's that you never quit being a mom. No matter where you are, you will always be a mom. Go in peace, be present, be incredible, be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.